you been looking for a podcast to help you transform your physical and mental? One that'll shoot you straight between the eyes with truth and no BS, helping you have the right mindset to accomplish things, the iron will and fortitude to follow through with what you say you're going to do. No excuses. Mark owns martial arts schools, and after 30 years, he has some real insight for real talk, real life, real conversations, motivational, fitness, self-defense, weight loss, live from the Great 1-8. This is Real Talk with Mark Cox.
Okay, we are live. Good evening, Mike. I think, is it evening in your time? Is it morning in where you're at?
Morning. Good evening,
morning
Mark.
For you. 7 o'clock at night here. What time is it in Hong Kong?
10 a.m. We made it work.
All right. So you're already midday working. It's good to have you on the show, man. I'm looking forward to this. We had a really good virtual coffee. Let me introduce you a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over to you to add what you like. But I want to read your bio a little bit for those of you that are listening tonight. Michael is a productivity expert, business coach, and founder of Elite Productivity. Having had his fair share of 100 work weeks and crippling burnouts, Michael has discovered and validated a different approach to productivity, building a life and business he's wildly proud of, and mastering what it means to have full and anonymity. So I want to go ahead and let you finish out what your kind of goal is for yourself, Mike, and then we're going to dive right in because I've got some questions for you and how you came to this space as such a young guy.
Sure. So I just want to say, without going on a whole tangent, we have one mission, which is to fix the fact that most entrepreneurs are working too hard for too little and trading away what matters most for quote unquote success, and operating under a false dichotomy when they can have both business success as well as having a family, the freedom, the autonomy, and well-being that they deserve. So we do that through productivity, leverage, done for you delegation, and well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today.
It is, and I think it's a good, it's a good prelude of what you talk about, because being an entrepreneur, and I've been around in my business now, this is my 34th year of doing this. And I can tell you where I came into wanting to be an entrepreneur, and we'll talk about your kind of background, where you came from and why you chose this route. But I was not college educated. I went to college a little bit and I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. And I went to working, and I've told this story before that my grandfather and my father were both a machinist. And so that's where I kind of started. I went in and became a machinist myself. And then I found martial arts in my 20s, in my very early 20s. And I fell in love with the martial arts. And then when I got to be around Blue Belt, I said, man, I want to do this for a living. And I remember kind of writing things on my machine that I was working, and I was going towards my black belt, right? And I got my black belt in 1987. And I was in a machine shop at the time that I was doing it. And I just remember, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have 100 black belts one day. And I'm going to teach people how to do this. It was just what I had in my mind. And then boom, it ended up in things aligned, and I was able to get my school. But I can tell you this, I put a lot of time in, right? I was doing pools. I became a pool man too. So I was doing pools in the morning, teaching martial arts at night to build up my business. And I used to tell everybody, I'll work 100 hours in my own business instead of 40 for somebody else, right? But then, just like you said, most entrepreneurs do exactly what you talk about. We put in so many hours that I know that I've done this, and I probably, to be honest with you, in my generation especially, we're kind of workhorses. My generation is, we didn't have all this click of the button. I remember when the internet was just coming out. We didn't have all this knowledge and everything that we can have at our fingertips to keep us even more busy. So I think what you talk about as well is definitely what entrepreneurs, including myself, need to hear on what can we do when we overwork because even though I'll put 100 hours in, doesn't mean I'm making the money. It just means I'm putting in time. So what chose you? Jose Escobar's on here saying hi to us.
Hey, Jose, good to see you here.
Dude. Yeah, he's a good dude.
So yeah.
Tell me what chose you. Now, were you on that path? Were you on the path to do? I read something in there that you wanted to be a vet or something in the beginning. Is that true?
Yes. So I am a certified vet. I actually still have my stethoscope right here, just reminding me of my background. And like I never grew up with an entrepreneur spirit. Both of my parents come a corporate ladder, and I didn't even know what entrepreneurship is until I discovered it 2 years into my college degree, which is veterinary surgery. And I was already addicted to personal development. And once I read books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, along the lines of that, I just started building my first business, which was an e-com business, whilst going through my clinical years as a vet. So fast forward 3 years, I graduated. I'm working in small enough practice, putting in 50 hours there, putting in another 40 hours in my e-com business. Things were going good. I was hustling. I was grinding. I was listening to all these gurus preaching about how if 12-hour days don't work 16-hour days. And yeah, things were good money-wise, but I wasn't seeing my friends. I wasn't even calling my parents because I was living in the UK back then. My relationship imploded. I started going to the gym, and everything led to the point where I dozed up on a wheel going for 70 miles an hour on a highway one summer because of my body just giving out. And it was that at that moment where I recognized I became the textbook definition of the entrepreneur, of the high achiever who just sacrificed everything on the name of success in return for vanity metrics, like being a hustler or being someone who grinds or being someone who is able to make sacrifices. And I went in a wrong road. So after that wake-up call, I just went down a rabbit hole to learn everything about productivity, leverage, automations, delegation, and most importantly, how to unlock the power of addition by subtraction so that I can unshackle myself from those pair of golden handcuffs and be able to achieve what I want, income and impact wise, whilst also creating the freedom and autonomy that I want. And that translated to me building my own business. Well, yeah, my e-com business as a result back then, it took off, and I transitioned to coaching, launched my first course, 20 clients as a beta, 20 video testimonials. And I just I love this. Let's go full-time coaching. So that brought me to where I'm at right now.
Such an amazing story. Now, I read through it and didn't realize that you went on to be a surgical vet is what you have a degree in today.
Yes. That's my background.
And then you talk about the e-commerce. So when you say you did an e-commerce that took off, what was that? What was it you're selling, or were you reselling, or what was your e-commerce business?
Yeah. That was simply an Amazon FBA business. I was selling these foldable coffee cups. I'm very into environment, and that was just me putting my first leg into entrepreneurship. And we were actually ranking to multiple keywords on Amazon's first page, so we were doing pretty well. But afterwards, one Thanksgiving season, we just sold out, and I wasn't able to restock it quick enough, and all the ranking came all the way back down. And back then I was already working as a vet. I was still running my e-com business, and but then I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm just gonna let that go. Let me do something else. And my coach back then told me, hey, Michael, you built this success story yourself. Why not step into coaching? Why not teach this to somebody else? And I'm like, yeah, I can give that a try. And that led to the first beta launch of 20 clients. I sold that for $97 back then for a whole 6 weeks of masterclass and challenge setting. And by the way, that offer is no longer available. Just want to say, and everything just transferred into one another. Like some clients would work with me one-on-one. They told me they were willing to pay me high tickets, and that just acted as the perfect launch pad to what I'm building right now.
Well, even that, and within the stuff what you're talking about, Michael, we didn't hit this on the virtual coffee, but listening to you where you were number one top ranking, and then what happened, you couldn't do it, and then you fell to the rankings fell down, and then you're like, well, you know what, I'm gonna bypass that. Let's go to this, do the coaching, dive in, $97, and then I guess you start feeling what your worth really is when you start changing other people's lives, right? Your worth goes up as you have, there's some really good. I'm a big Andy Frisella fan. I love him. He just pulls no punches, and he talks about this. At that point, like in the $97 range, you're kind of new to everything. People aren't really listening to you, and they start listening to you when you start, piling up wins, right? Then all of a sudden they become even more, right? To the point that now they seek you instead of, and then you're allowing them to come in after you vet them. Correct. That's just how, isn't it weird how it is? Nobody wants to hear, when I first started the martial arts school or had a business of martial arts schools, nobody would listen to me on my first, 5 years. But now, people call me. I got studio owners calling me on a daily basis and giving them information on how they don't close their doors, because I almost had to do that. It's interesting that you said you had a coach. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the coach when did you seek out a coach, and why did you seek out a coach for yourself?
My first coach was not a business coach. My first coach is more of a transformation/mindset coach. And I found him because he is a guy that I've been following even before I had that incident and that wake-up call. And once I had that, I was like, I need help. I just almost killed myself because of me pushing hard for quote-unquote success. And yeah, his name is Tim Han. We're still friends. He's very successful. He's still running his business. He's really successful right now. And we're kind of, and he taught me a lot when it comes to simplicity. He taught me how to think. He busted a lot of fears for me: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of ruin, all those things. And that laid down a foundation that I needed to take action at a level necessary for me to build my coaching business from scratch after I just decided to not recover my e-com business.
I think that speaks volumes that a young, successful coach like yourself needed a coach to get past the insecurities that we have sometimes as entrepreneurs. I find that fascinating, but yet every successful coach I know has a coach. I had to have the same thing. I think I've spoke about this before on my podcast, that 6 months into having a martial arts school, I was drowning. I was a duck looking smooth on the front, and my feet are running 1,000,000 miles an hour underwater, thinking, how am I going to do this? Do I need to get more pools in order to keep my doors open? And I went looking for a coach, and I found one in Tennessee. It's funny. Him and I are still best of friends today. He completely changed my mindset and taught me how to do martial arts as a business, not just teach martial arts. And that was huge. I was there for a week. I was immersed into something, and I came back and completely changed. And my whole school completely changed that instant when I had the right coach that was going after it. Daniel Gomez is on here. Have you met Daniel Gomez?
Nope. Then let's connect. Stephanie is here as well. I think, yes, Stephanie could be a great fit to this podcast.
Yes.
If you want to talk about relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. He's good. Really good dude. Really good guy. I would consider him a coach of mine for sure. Just, we've got to spend some really quality time. Just another good human being. But if you talk to him, he's going to tell you the same thing. He's got himself a coach also. So it's just one of those things. When people are successful, they surround themselves by successful people, which makes it in turn we make a lot less mistakes when we can listen to those that came before us. You know what I mean? So.
Absolutely, absolutely. And right now, I think what makes every single coach special by him or herself is their unique self experience. And for me, I'm able to more or less create my own market and my own demand because I'm able to integrate what I've learned from my experience recovering from burnouts with what I'm now building in terms of my business coaching side. Because on one side, there is proactivity,
Mm-hmm.
time blocking, energy management, how to make decisions where time, prioritizing, follow through, impulse control. You have to be high performing yourself in order for you to lead other people. And on the other side, there's leverage and delegation. And once you're able to combine both, then we can actually be in that sweet spot. We're able to be high performing yourself, and you're able to continually scale up your output per unit of time. And that's what a lot of people, once you tap that is what a lot of people can tap into in order for them to actually get not only the business they want, but also the life that they want. Because hey, let's face it, there's a lot of coaches out there, but what we need to do here, I think, not only for me and for you, but everybody, every fellow coach who's tuning in here, we want to actually make an impact, not by trying to emulate somebody else. I always believe that the better we are at owning our identity and owning our message and molding it to create our own value proposition, that is what will allow us to have our own place in the market and more or less become irreplaceable.
So let me ask you this. So I want to ask one question because I'll be interested to hear this side of you. Being that you were a vet surgeon
Mm-hmm.
and you decided to go walk away from that, tell me how the family took to that.
Not good. Not good. My dad was in sales. He worked his way up to becoming a sales director in Intel back then, and he's kind of like this entrepreneur anyways in the company, so he kind of gets it. He's like chill with it. But my mom was freaking out. And till this day, I had to remind my mom, hey, mom, if I'm still walking this path, I'll be doing something that I kind of don't want to do, and I'll be earning this much, and I won't be able to treat you to nice lunches on a Wednesday afternoon. And this is what I'm doing right now. So I had to keep on reminding her on this, and she kind of gets it now, but it took a long time. My friends also back then, they were like, "Michael, you crazy? Like, what is this coaching thing?" But then, like, I just had to, as difficult as that transition is, I had to make a choice because when it comes to making decisions, I can only reference two things. Number one, am I making this decision as my current self, or am I making a decision as the future self who I want to become? Because the current self will always default back to safety and what we're used to. And back then, it is a future heart-based decision that led me to make the transition. And like right now, well, in case you're wondering, hey, is this a waste? Is that 5 years of grinding, hustling, and good grades gonna be to a waste? Nope. Right now in my spare time, I'm planning to collaborate with animal welfare charities, wildlife conservation charities, and then rescue charities. That's what I want to make an impact on the side as well, to make use of my degree. But it was never my intention to work 50 hours per week for the next 30 years of my life in a small animal clinic. So yeah,
Powerful.
That's how things transpired.
So I asked the question because I know when I went off and did what I did, people thought me too, everybody, what's this coaching thing? And then they would ask me, what's this karate thing? Well, you don't make money doing karate. You know what I mean? And I remember it vividly. And of course, it's always the ones that are closest to us that kind of needle us about, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I remember it. I remember it vividly, even in my own. They thought I was absolutely crazy. Now, 35 years later, they're like, like I said, now it's people come to me as opposed to, hey, I'm going to do this. Stephanie's on here. She goes, oh, yeah, my parents thought I was nuts for leaving a tenured New York teaching position to be a coach.
Good for you, Stephanie. Like, I think like everyone tuning in here, we're kind of crazy. We're kind of a crazy bunch to outside eyes. And like that's one, like I've been following Alex Hormozy, and that's like one thing that really got me connected with him is his background and his relationship with his dad. His dad was a doctor. His dad wanted him to become this, this professional with high income. And just because of his decision to start Gym Launch and study entrepreneurship, they were fighting, and that was exactly what I've been going through with my parents as well. And well, we just have to not tell them, but show them until the point that they're like, hey, you know what? You're doing good. I can take a step back. All right, I'll leave you to do whatever you do, even if I don't understand what exactly it is.
Listen, man, you're on the point of this, and I tell everybody, you are right about one thing. The entrepreneurs are a crazy bunch. That's why I said we'll work 100 hours for ourselves before we work 40 for someone else and build somebody else's dream. And I've told this people, even people that open up martial arts schools today, or anybody it doesn't have to be martial arts, man. And I say, you're going to put your nose to the grind. You use your passion to make the money so that you can invest in futures. And now I'm not just a karate guy. I'm the karate guy that owns real estate in a couple states and own the building that I'm in. And as I'm a different karate guy. I'm an entrepreneur that, I walked away from something that was a steady paycheck, and I didn't have a choice. It was either sink or swim. I remember when I got laid off, and it was like, okay, man, it's sink or swim. Either you're going to do it or you're not. And that's when I found the coach. But everybody on here that I'm listening to, Stephanie, Jose stepped away from something. Daniel Gomez was a top salesperson at one time, walked away from it, became this awesome coach and keynote speaker, now helping others do that. Jose Escobar, same way. He was in the martial arts world. He looked at it, says, I'm going to walk away from a very high-paying corporate job, and I'm going to go after this thing. And then he's built something in a small amount of time. You are right. Entrepreneurs are winners, man. We put it out there. We are risk takers, and no bullshit takers. I tell you that for a fact. And so I think it's powerful what you talk about right there. And that's why Stephanie says it was a calling. I could not do it. So you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And one of the things though, I want to say, because obviously like you, Jose, we've all been through a ringer, and if there are coaches who are at the on-ramp phase right now, one thing that I want to share is that you've got to think in a non-linear manner. I see what holds a lot of entrepreneurs back is them still holding on to that employee mindset when they're playing the game of entrepreneurship. Because in order for you to go from trading your time for money to creating leverage to the points where you can earn 10 times as much as the person next door whilst on holiday, that requires a different level of thinking. And that also requires us to think non-linearly, because we're not looking for a paycheck or a 10% pay rise per year. We're looking for that quantum leap, which is what drove us out of that secure position that we were in. And in order for us to complete that quantum leap, we've got to understand that there are sacrifices that needs to be made, and the growth trend can involve an initial roller coaster ride where it's up and down. There's uncertainty, there's that level of predictability, but you've got to hold on to it and accept it as a process in order for you to enjoy the hockey stick growth curve that lies behind that.
So have you written a book about this yet or not?
Nope. I've been writing. I'm publishing content. I write every single day, but book, no.
So when you decided on this kind of coaching, like what you're talking about now, because it's interesting what you talk about. You're talking about going after the risk takers and help them get out of a mindset of trade time for money. Because it is true. I can tell you this, that you can spend a half hour with me. It would be like taking 6 months of classes, because I know just how to get to what the meat and potatoes is of what you're trying to do. And it's not because I'm better than anybody else. It's just that I'm the junkyard dog now, man. I've been doing this for a minute. And entrepreneurship is a fight. You talked about that. It is a fight on a daily basis. It is a ring, and you are going to take some shots every day. And it's either you're going to get knocked down, tapped out, or you're going to find a way out. And I think that what you talk about is powerful, that you want to go after entrepreneurs so that they can change the mind shift of getting out of employees' mindset. Even telling my own son, he's about, how old are you? You're 90, you're born in 95. So my son was born in 95.
28. Yeah.
You're 28. You're almost right. So I have a son your same age, right? I got a son that's the same age as you. I talk to him about this quite often. And my younger son that just graduated college, he's like, man, Dad, I did all this college. And I said, you have to, I said, it's because you're trying to change. You're trying to, what job can give me more money? I said, you take your schooling, learn what you did from it, and try and work for yourself at some point. Because once you do that, time becomes freedom. Discipline equals freedom. It's talked about quite often. The more disciplined you are in yourself, and get out of the mindset of you got to make more money because I went to college. And then he's found out he's putting hundreds of applications in. I told him, I said, I told you, bro, you're young with no experience. And you're going to talk to guys my age and going to look at you and go, well, this kid's just got out of school. You know what I mean? And so.
Exactly. And like you made a very good point there, because a lot of people want to skip the levels of leadership. In order for you to create the leverage and the systems and a team that you want to have, you've got to first know how to lead yourself. Freedom comes from structure and discipline. Freedom comes from being organized with the right system and processes. Freedom is not about you being able to wake up every single day, do whatever you want, including snoozing, including laying down in bed, including going on a random rabbit hole, and have no conscious thought on how your time is being spent. So for everybody here, if you want to ascend the levels of leverage, everything comes back down to self-leadership first and foremost. So you made a great point there. Discipline, absolutely.
Yeah. Discipline will equal freedom. And that's going to be true in all aspects of life for sure. You know, I wish I could take that acronym for myself, but that comes from Jocko. He talks about it all the time. He wrote a book on it. It's called Discipline Equals Freedom. And man, when you go through it, you're like, man, you're right about that. You're right about that. You're right about that. You know what I mean? Anthony has a question here. He says, what is something you are noticing in or not in yet the coaching space that isn't yet tapped into, but could be a massive opportunity if executed well?
What do you think, Mark? You've been in the space, you've been building businesses way longer than I have.
Well, I can tell you this from a coaching aspect. So you have a unique thing that you're going after people that are entrepreneurs already. You know, they could even be coaching and you're going after them, because a coach can already spend more time in his business than what he should. And I think in a coaching space, in my space is what I can talk about, Anthony, if you'll allow me. I can tell you this: when I coach, I used to coach and tell you how to make money in the martial arts. Now I coach to tell you not how to make money in the martial arts, how to take your money, invest it elsewhere so you can have a life outside of Social Security checks, because I'm 62 years old. My Social Security check, if I took my check today at 62, would be $1,300 a month. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? I do seminars for 10 people for $1,000. I'm not about it. So teaching people how to use their money that they make in their business and how to invest it properly is the next step that I try and take. I try and take young entrepreneurs and not make the mistakes that I made, because I should have been doing this stuff at your age. If I was smart at your age, I had money, but I was too busy driving Jaguars and Denali's and shit around, thinking that I was a high roller instead of taking all that money. Can you imagine me having $1,200, $1,300 a month in car payments, and then I'm wasting and doing that for 5 years? All that money could have been in a piece of property that would have been paid off today, making me money on a paid off property, and I didn't do it. That's where I go in the space of coaching. That's for me anyway. Hopefully that can answer a little bit of something for you, Anthony. Let's see what Jose has to say. Conscious thought of how we spend our time, critically important. Well said, Michael. You got a lot of positive people here. Ivy's here too.
I want to expand on your point right there, Mark, because the way that I view entrepreneurship is that there are 3 stages. Stage 1, you use your time effectively to earn money. Stage 2, you use your money to buy back your time through leverage. Stage 3, you use money to create more money, and that's exactly what you have touched upon there. And these are 3 stages to create the wealth and the freedom and unlimited abundance that you want. Anthony is a client, so I make him where he's at. Amazing dude. We've been working together for 8 months now. So Anthony, here's my take for your question. Since so if you want to assess the coaching space and look into something that's untapped, obviously one thing that I can share with you is that if there is an untapped market, and if I talk about it, by the time you fully expand into that space, it will have been filled. So if you want to be a front runner, you've got to become a market maker. And one idea that I can share with you is to create your own market by creating either, number 1, a purple ocean, or number 2, creating a unique offer that the market has not seen before. And this offer must involve you infusing a unique set of skills, a unique set of value, and positioning it in a way that more or less breaks the common belief or the common box of the coaching space. I can use my offer as an example. We don't just coach clients through the typical course plus coaching model. We also help our clients to delegate busy work off their plates on their behalf by training, hiring, onboarding, and managing a dedicated assistant for them. So there's a part done with you and part done for your offer that isn't like that you cannot really find in a coaching space. And I fill that role because I know that once the entrepreneur is great at trading time for money, they've got to be able to buy better time. But then a lot of them don't know how to do that, or most importantly, not know how to do it effectively. So since my coaching already allows me to know what your schedule looks like, what your system looks like, how your business operates, how you run, how you want things to be done in a particular manner, what kind of clients and offer you serve, what kind of model you run on, I can go ahead and clone you on your behalf by customizing the SOPs for a virtual assistant to operate just the way that you want them to operate at without you having to lift a finger. So that's how I tap into a space in the coaching market that is untapped. So this requires thinking, this requires business acumen, this requires research. And I'm going for the ball to you, Anthony. What can you create to create your own market in the coaching space?
That's good. Good. He talks about untouchable service. I think that is, in today's world, I can tell you this: anytime you can service your people better, this is where the customer service in today's world is I see it every day when I go into, I don't care if it's a coffee shop or a retail shop or whatever, customer service is for dog meat, man. I'm telling you. Every time I say it, I said, if there's anybody that's going to be a slight beast in this time and understand what it is to grind and get after it, they are going to just own whatever it is they want to do for sure. And I find that listening to what you were talking about, it plays an important part of what you do, right? You talked about a virtual assistant, and I told you before I have one of those, right? I found one in the Philippines. And you guys that have been on my podcast, or why does my podcast look so professional, or the pictures are just, everybody that I send pictures to, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome looking, professional looking, all that. Well, that's her. That ain't me. That's her. That's my vision. She's the one that knows how to work Canva. Do you have any idea how many hours I would have to spend to do what my April does, man? April is just, I couldn't speak more highly of her, but when I told you about her and what she does for me, right now, as we were speaking, I see it popping up. She's working right now, and she goes, hey, Mr. Cox, is this what you're looking for? Because I am launching something on how to help people start their own podcast so they have a professional looking, and they can have it either from, I can do some coaching with you from a very simple thing all the way up to, making the website and everything else that you need. And so she's right. Is this right? Is this right? And she's just getting after it. The flyer looks fantastic. And so, but you have something very unique when you have a virtual assistant. You're working, those of you that are listening to, by the way, SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. In case you don't know, that acronym, SOP, is what your standing operating procedure is going to be in your business. And then you have a virtual assistant that duplicates you, because I'm telling you, in a service business like me, right, to clone me on the mat, that really takes that takes the right person. My son comes very close, but man, when I step on the mat, I own that mat, and I'm a teacher's teacher, and so it's hard to clone me. But when it comes to
no one can clone your gun, no one can clone your cats. I can say that.
That's so. And so after I did all that, when I did all that work, but when she clones me in this side of the business, the coaching, the stuff I do with podcasting and all that kind of stuff, or the Facebooking, she's the one that's kind of working on putting Facebook out there, so we get more clients and stuff in. So, but your business, you have it that you can get somebody a virtual assistant, and you're going to train that virtual assistant to do what they do so they can duplicate themselves. Is that what I'm understanding your coaching is?
Exactly. Because a lot of people's experience with VAs don't work out because of two things. Number one, they don't know what is or is not working in your business, and therefore cannot reverse engineer validated, repeatable processes into systems that a VA can run with. That's the first reason, and that's why people end up having a team member who starts fires and for some reason just takes forever to understand what needs to be done, and you're just in this constant fight, and next thing you know, you're just working harder and become less profitable because you're paying someone who cannot do the job, or you're just not communicating that. So that's the first reason. So that's the first reason why, and we fix it with clients. And the second reason why is because their SOPs are not built to the point where it is impossible to not understand. Because unless you're able to define objectives, what does done look like, and what standards do you expect those tasks to be executed at, then things aren't going to work out. So the reason why our system works so good, so effectively, is because we already know all those things through the private coaching that we do with our clients. So every single client who comes to me, we simplify, we streamline, we systematize, and we cut out all the unnecessary complexities and fluff that's causing a business to not run like a smooth, well-oiled machine. And once that's done, we bring on a virtual assistant to multiply that. VAs are not there to build your business for you. VAs are there to help you buy back your time and multiply you. But if what we're multiplying it is not effective in the beginning, then what's going to happen? We're going to multiply inefficiencies, and that is what causes fires to be started. So we must have both.
Yes, excellent points. And I'm going to tell you now, you're in Hong Kong right now, so and I'm here in the States, and we talked about a little bit about virtual assistants. See, in the States, if I have a virtual assistant, I don't have payroll taxes, I don't have all the stuff that comes along that you have to have a regular employee, right? And so it was just a no-brainer. Ivy's on here too, saying that she's glad. I don't know if you know Ivy or not. She's in the CLA. She's a beast, by the way. She's always
Ivy,
out there getting after it.
Connect.
Yeah, she's awesome. Anthony asked this question too. What's the best question you've ever found to ask a mentor or coach? Anthony, I can tell you this. I can tell you that a good coach, a good mentor is going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And so when I interview a coach, if he's just going to say, you're awesome and you're da-da-da, it is not what I'm looking for. A good coach to me is going to ask me hard questions, and I'm going to have to answer them. And because if I don't answer them correctly, I'm not going to get the coaching that I need. And that coach is just going to be bluntly honest with me. So when it comes to what's the best questions you've ever found to ask a mentor or a coach, if I was hiring Michael, I would be expecting Michael to ask me some hard questions. And
I have one question that I asked one of my mentors before, and this question gave me the perspective that I needed to go through some tough times I was going through, which is, what is the cost? What is the cost? Because a lot of people are succumbing to this woo-woo, rah-rah, you can do this mentality. As you said, it's all fluff. And they get hyped up on the best case scenario. But if I can just go behind closed doors and ask this mentor who owns like multiple 7-figure, 8-figure businesses, and I ask him, what's the cost? You immediately get snapped back into reality, because behind those 7, 8-figure success stories are sacrifices, traumatic experiences, setbacks, challenges that not a lot of people are willing to go through. But once you're able to understand that might be something they're signing up for as a whole package, then you'll be able to take the risk. Then you're able to maintain the perspective required to embrace those hardships if you want to become the person who deserves those accomplishments. And that's why I tell my clients, hey, if you just want those 30K months, good for you. Just go for that. But if you want those multi-7-figure businesses, you've got to also pay a price. So that's the best question that I've ever asked, at least in my perspective.
That was good. My coach asked me that when I first did it. He sat me down in his office, and I remember two things about this. He goes, the building that I'm in right now, Mark, I bought this building. Most martial arts school owners don't buy their own buildings. They lease. I bought this building. And after 10 years, this building bought my house clear and free. And then that loan that we pulled equity out, which is tax-free money, paid cash for my house. Now the business is paying back that loan that is passed, which is a tax write-off. And I was so blown away by the simplicity of that and not knowing it, because it was never taught in school. And then he asked me, he looks me dead in the eye and he goes, I'm going to teach you how to do this. Are you going to do what I ask from point A to point B? Or you think that there's going to be a way around it? I remember that coach asking me that hard question. And I remember telling him, no, sir, you tell me what to do, and I'm going to duplicate exactly what you're doing. I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel or do whatever that is. I'm here to learn from somebody that is in a way better space than I ever was. And that's exactly what I did. You know, that's why we're close today. He goes, I've mentored so many people. He goes, you're one of the only ones that did exactly what I told you to do. And that's why you're here today. So I remember that from my coach for sure. Ivy, what's this says? What's the cost of doing XYZ for the transformation you want? That's a powerful question. Yeah, she's reiterating what you just talked about right there. You know, what's the cost? That's good. Yeah. It's good. Yeah, you know, we have a lot of people online tonight asking some really strong questions. And well, like I said, most of these guys are and ladies are all entrepreneurs in their right, and they're beasts of in their own rights. But I believe that you have something very unique that helps entrepreneurs become better. You know, we have a lot of time stealers. I call them as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
The phone, you know, people walk in my office and that's 20 minutes of time. I have so many time stealers that happen that's take your focus off what I'm doing. And that's why I got a virtual assistant. So when the time stealers come, and I can't call them that all the time because most people, I have a martial arts school, but I'm a counselor more than I am anything. People have tragedies in their life and they're looking for that stable, you know, that stable person to help mentor them through, whether it's a divorce or their children or their ADHD or their you know, I have so much that comes on the plate. You think it's just punching and kicking. If it was, that's the easy part. It's the mentoring and the love and the, you know, crying on my shoulder that takes it to the next level and makes all this worth it. But in the same token, I speak quite often. I said, a martial arts school is a beacon of light in most communities. You know, I know that me being on the corner of this town for the last 30 years, people feel safer. They feel safe that there's a business that made it for over 30 years. All that stuff is a safety zone for a community. And I take that real serious, right? And I want to be that beacon, but it comes at a cost, just like you said. So you have to know how to duplicate yourself to get cost, to put money out there so you can be, you know, the mentor that you need to be for the people that I service in my service as far as that goes. So I think that's, you know, Ivy says this, most people are not coachable. You are so true, man. I have so many students. I look at them all the time. I'm looking dead in the eye. I said, you going to be coachable today? Because if not, I'm going to punch you right in the face. Okay. So you're either going to listen to what I have to say or you're going to pay the price. And, you know, I find that once you get hit once or twice in the face, you tend to want to listen to what the coach is saying. And that's probably an analogy that can go right out into the business world because you can say the same thing to him. I said, hey, you're in a fight. You're in a fight and you're either going to keep your hands up or you're going to get popped. You know what I mean? And then how are you going to recover from that? So I find it fascinating that you're such a young guy that can I'm going to give you a compliment. I just want to give you a compliment because I'm an older guy, right? And my older generation is kind of a, you know, we're not millennials. I can tell you that. You know what I mean? You're
pretty updated. You're far more tech savvy than my dad. I can say that.
I said, I know you told me that already. That part of his stuff I really love. You know what I mean? The things about me I love is photography, and I love to edit photos. And I love doing this stuff and how people get online and tell their stories because I'm telling you, man, older people have got some great stories, and they've got great lessons that they can share. And I tell everybody, man, you got to get on the podcast and share your life. Doesn't mean you're going to have this massive audience. You know, I'm not Joe Rogan, not by a long shot, but I impact this really important people to me. And I would like to make sure that, you know, they can do the same thing. So I like that. I like that coaching aspect of things. And I'm just a natural coach. I just like it. I like getting down and dirty and you know, I'm not a counter. I'm not, you know, we're not going to be in the gym and go and one and two, oh, you look so good and you're looking so good. No, I'll be the guy like, man, and you better fucking push that weight or kick your ass. And so, you know, I just love that space and so good. But I want to give you a compliment because I am somebody that would 100% listen to what you have to say, even as an older generation. You know, I'm pretty coachable, though. I'm kind of a coachable guy. A good martial artist is kind of a student all the time. I don't get on the mat and, you know, pay homage to Mr. Cox. I'm not like that. I get on the mat And I have students that I've had for 20 years smoking me on the jujitsu mat because they're young guns now. And I'm learning lessons every day in humility, every freaking day. So, but I would definitely be somebody that would take what you're saying to heart and listen to you as somebody young. Even though you're a young guy, you've got this thing that you're a doctor on the other side, that's a surgeon for animals on the same time. And then you said you're going to take that specialty that you have, and you can help wildlife and and stuff like that. You can still use that love. Obviously you love animals. You're not going to be a vet because you don't like animals. They're just, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Right. Even cats. I know I'm probably going to get thrown. People are going to throw poop emojis at me about that. But that just tells me, first of all, it tells me the kind of character you are, because people that have this super love for pets anyway is something special anyway. Every vet that I've gone to, that I have with my own dogs, because my dogs are, they're my family. Absolutely. And then that you want to do it. So I'm just telling you from a perspective of mine that you are a very articulate young man that can help even an old man, to be honest with you, if you're coachable. If you're not coachable, doesn't matter how doesn't matter how that would be. You know what I mean? Yeah, see, Ivy says the same thing. I can't believe Michael's 28, incredibly astute and articulate. See, that's almost bigger words than I can use, for crying out loud.
Appreciate it. I just want to say, like, Mark, I'm in full agreement with you. I think the best coaches are the people who are able to set an example for their clients of what a coachable client is. Because you cannot be a good coach yourself if you yourself are not coachable, and if you you can't expect your clients to be coachable clients if you're not setting yourself as an example for them. So I think a lot of times what we fail to recognize, which Mark, you are recognizing, is the ripple effect that we're creating outside of ourselves. Like, Mark, your business, you're the cornerstone, not only for your clients, but your clients' world and the society and the community they're serving through martial arts, and also now in real estate, and also podcasting. And I always remind my clients, hey, I'm not just making an impact on you. I want to make an impact on you and everyone who's within your sphere of influence. That's why I don't want you to be trading 70 hours per week for a business and sacrificing everything else, including your friends, your family, and your well-being. Because if you're burnt out, you serve nobody. And I don't want to serve you. I want to serve your friends. I want to serve your family. I want to serve your clients and the clients and the families of your clients. And the only way that we can do that is to be consistent, is to be the cornerstone for our business, and also for the people that and the market that we serve. And yeah, like, everything just compounds. So how we show up on a daily, weekly basis, it counts.
Yeah, great words, Michael. I told you already, right? My oldest son is named Michael, so there's already a kindred spirit there, for sure.
Absolutely.
Mark Cox, where is your gym located? What discipline taught? I'm actually in a town called Chatsworth in California, which is in the LA type area. And I teach. I started with Tong Soo Do, which is a Chuck Norris system. And then 20 years ago, I brought in Krav Maga, which is the Israeli martial arts. It's kind of a no-nonsense, brutal. So I don't even call it self-defense. I call it self-offense.
Yeah,
and,
intense.
And it's just no joke. And then the past 10, 12 years, we've brought jiu-jitsu in. And I'm only a purple belt in the jiu-jitsu world, but I'm working my way up that ladder. Even at 62, I'm still getting on the mat and getting after it. So that's what I do. You can find me you can just look me up. You can put Mark Cox and Krav Maga. You'll find my school. I'm out there. And so, Michael, let me end with you. What you're doing. This is your podcast, but why don't you tell people where they can reach you first of all? And by the way, anybody that's listening, you'll find at markcox.com is my audio. This will always be on my Beyond the Mat on YouTube, and then Beyond the Mat is also on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So the video was always out there, but I always make an audio podcast of everything that I do. By tomorrow, there'll be an audio podcast of what we just had, and you guys will be able to listen to it in your car. I don't know if you, I'm on Apple and Spotify and all the other podcasts. If you don't subscribe, I'm just going to throw out a blurb there if that's okay. Guys, the way podcasters get the best thing for themselves, it's not how many downloads we get, believe it or not, it's how many subscribers we get. The more that we can get subscribers, the more we kind of work our way up the podcasting world. It's such a weird thing, but it's subscribers over downloads. I don't know why. So if you go to Beyond the Mat on YouTube and you can just hit subscribe, that'd be great. If you're on Spotify or Apple or the other podcast things, if you subscribe to my podcast, that just kind of helps us move up the ladder. But this will be on an audio podcast by tomorrow, and it'll be sent out that people can listen to their cars and in their cars and everything else. So Mike, I want to take the floor, tell people where they can find you. It'll also be on my website. They'll be able to reach out to you through there also. So tell them how to find you and what's the next step if they want to have a virtual coffee or something with you to see if it's a fit for you to be their coach.
Absolutely. So first of all, I am everywhere, just to name a few places. But the best way for you to find me will be, number one, going to my website. If you're a website person, it's eliteproductivity.io. So www.eliteproductivity.io. That's my website. It houses everything. But if you want to follow me on social, go to follow me on Facebook, Michael Yeung. It's the same name. On LinkedIn, I'm pretty sure I'm the only Asian dude named Michael Yeung owning a company called Elite Productivity Online. So search me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm in all places. And if you want to just get a taste of what my work looks like and get my most up-to-date frameworks, trainings, go to the Productive Coach Facebook group. Go to the Productive Coach Facebook group. I can drop my, Mark, I'm not sure how to drop the link here. I'm just going to drop the link over, chat.
Yeah, can you write it? You see where you can write your own comment there or not? You want me to do it for you?
Not letting me write my own comment by shots. I sent the link down in a private chat. So it's www.facebook.com/groups/teamppe. Jose, thank you. Ivy, thank you. Yep, those are links. And follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, follow me on LinkedIn, and most importantly, join my Facebook group. That is the Holy Grail, where I put everything here with no parts hold. You want to follow me on. So if you want to just follow me and get a taste of my content, these would be places that you can check me out, depending on what platform do you prefer. And if you want to really get connected, really dive deeper, then simply send me a message on Facebook, and we can definitely hop on a virtual coffee and even a roadmap call. So just want to let you know, this call, in order for me to give up my time, I value my time and I value yours, is not for everyone. If you're new to coaching or if you're new to entrepreneurship, you don't have a client roster, I'm sorry, I don't think we're a good fit yet. But if you are an entrepreneur who wants to buy back their time and believe that there is a possibility for you to level up your output per year of time and be able to work less and achieve more, and you're ready to actually accomplish that, well, let's chat, and I can see how we can help you make the most out of your time, turbocharge your productivity, and hence turbocharging your income, impact, freedom, and autonomy.
Yeah, I think if you guys listen carefully to what he's saying, he's looking for these entrepreneurs that want to get back their time. I've been on a virtual coffee with him. I think he is a strong fit for you guys. You will be surprised at what he talks about SOPs. Cause I'm going to just tell you right now, most people don't have SOPs as it is. They think they do, but they really don't. You're right. Okay. Well, and I can ask this all the time. What's your SOP for the morning time? What's so-and-so do? What's he do? And they're like, well, I'm like, you can't him and haw, right? The SOP is the SOP, standard operating procedure. It is what it is, man. It cannot be, from the military standpoint, it cannot be compromise. It is what it is. Follow it or you don't, and you'd be surprised on how many people just don't have that. So I think anybody that wants to reach out, you're gonna be pleasantly surprised. He's a young, strong entrepreneur, and I think he can help you further where you want to be. Mike, I want to thank you so much for getting on my podcast with me. This was a powerful hour. This is a great hour too, man. We had a lot of people that popped on tonight, a lot of good questions that came up, and hopefully we could answer them between the two of us.
Absolutely. So yeah, anybody here tuning in on replay, just drop the questions in the comments below, and yeah, me and Mark, we can definitely take care of you.
Yep, that's good. All right, thanks. I'm going to let you go. I'm sure you're busy for the day, and winding down the evening here, and I appreciate your time on Beyond the Mat. Mike, great guest, great hour that we spent together. I'm glad I got to do it with you. Have a good night, man.
Same here. Thank you.
You've been listening to Real Talk with Mark Cox. Real life, real topics, real conversation. We're passionate about motivation, fitness, self-defense, weight loss, and coming at it from a real angle. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. And we hope you had fun. We know we did. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on Instagram and Facebook at MarkCox100. Make sure to subscribe and review. And tell a friend or two about the show. For more, hit up the website at markcox.com. Till next time.